Hey everybody, this is Michael again, and since everybody enjoyed my PlayStation 5 pickup video, I thought I would go back and do a pickup video with the Sega Game Gear. So let's just go ahead and let's begin. So I have a ton of these loose carts, and this one right here is called Wimbledon Tennis. This is a game that I have never played, but I do remember that I did pick this up from a local pawn shop, I believe, and it did have a price on the back, which was setting at $4.95. So yeah, I probably paid something right around that. So let's see what else I have in here. So the next game that I have is PGA Tour Golf. Now, this one I can say that I've never played it before, but on the back it did state that I paid $2 for it. So probably not a game that is worth very much. Actually, I know it isn't worth very much. The next one that I have here is Sonic and Chaos. I have played this game before, but I did not finish it. Yeah, this was one of those fun games, and there was a ton of different Sonic games that came out for the Game Gear, and they were good games. Another quick one to kind of just get out of the way here is World Series Baseball, and it looks like I paid $3 for it. Just one of those sports titles that, yeah, I didn't really play a whole lot of the sports titles. Another one that I have right here is NFL 95. This is one that I haven't played either. Hopefully we'll get to the end of these sports games here. So the next one that I have is called G-Lock, and it is G-Lock Air Battle. And I have played this one before, but I primarily play a lot of Game Gear games now through my Raspberry Pi 4 setup that I have. If folks were interested in that, then I'd love to maybe tell you a little bit more about it. The next one in my collection here is the Chess Master. For this one, I paid right around $5. Now, I do have some more expensive games that we'll get into in just a moment here. So the next one is going to be Sonic 2. This Sonic 2 game, I do not believe that I ever beat this one. I do recall beating the first game, and the first one I absolutely loved. Here is another copy right here of Sonic 2, which is pretty surprising to me because I absolutely had no clue that I even had 2 copies of this. So let's see what else I have. Next up is a sports title, NBA Action. So yeah, I definitely have not played this one and am not really interested in playing it. Now, the next one that I have is Columns, Sega's response to Tetris for the Game Boy at that time. I never really got into Columns, but I know that pretty much everybody that had a Game Gear during that time, they all had this game. I believe it came included, but during that time, I was not able to afford a Game Gear, so I didn't get one until I just became an adult. And so I just found yet another copy of Sonic 2. So I guess that means right now that I have, at least 3 of these right here that maybe I'll have a trade or something where maybe I can get rid of them. I do not recall Sonic 2 being something that was worth very much. So the next one that I have here is called Poker Face Paul's Solitaire. So they actually made a number of these Poker Face Paul's games. And I do remember these from back when, the Game Gear was popular. Those games are extremely cheap, and I picked that up for absolutely nothing. Another one that I picked up for super cheap is Joe Montana's Football. This one, it says on the back here that I paid a total of, $2 for it. And yeah, that's exactly what I paid for it whenever I bought it. Another one that I have is called Sports Trivia. So Sports Trivia, I might have played this one on an emulator before. Can't say that I've ever put it inside of a Game Gear and actually played it. Now, another one that I have is called The Lion King. So this game has this sticker down here at Half Price Books, which makes me remember that I have an episode on the channel here of when I originally picked this one up. So yeah, it probably was 6 months ago or so. Now, the next one is an absolute classic because that is NBA Jam. NBA Jam, this was a game that I just absolutely loved, I think on the Super Nintendo. And when this was for Game Gear and people were able to carry around a color screen and play this game, that was just so epic. Here is another one of the Poker Face Paul's game, and this one is just called Gin. Another very cheap game, probably paid a buck or two for it. Another sports title in here, and that is PGA Tour Golf 2. And I have one of these PGA Tour games that I do believe is worth a little bit more than the others, but I can't remember which one that was. Now, I have a game that's called George Foreman's Knockout. So this was another very popular one back then. I know this game was out for the regular Nintendo, and so yeah, came to the Game Gear. Looked good for the time. And I just found another one. I found another copy of Sonic 2 in this little case that I've got here. So now I am up to, I believe that will do it. So yeah, 4 copies of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yeah, maybe let me know in the comments if you need a Sonic 2 game for the Game Gear. Now this next title, I do remember picking this one up from a trade. It's Super Monaco GP for the Game Gear, obviously. This is one of those games that I definitely have played before, but I do remember spending a little bit more time playing it on an emulator instead of actually, using the cartridge and playing it on the Game Gear itself. Now, here is some of the games that I've got that's worth typically a little bit more, and kind of the way that I do that is that I typically just keep them in some of the better cases that I've got. Now, it doesn't mean that these are going to be worth substantially much, because most of the Game Gear games don't really have a lot of value, unless you have, Mega Man, I think, is the most expensive game for the Game Gear right now. But this one right here that I have is just WWF. So before they had to change it to WWE, WrestleMania. And I absolutely cannot read what is underneath that. Okay, I think I can. I think it says Steel Cage. So yeah, that's one title. I did pick that one up. It says I paid $5 for it back when I originally found it. I'm not sure if that one is worth, much more than that or not. Another quick game just to kind of get out of the way here is Formula 1. So Formula 1 was just another really popular, obviously, racing title. Now, the next one that I have here is going to be called Chuck Rock. So there it is, Chuck Rock. This game is kind of weird. I remember just trying to figure out how to play the first level and actually remember a bit of the first level. Yeah, I never could get into it. It was so weird and clunky. Yeah, I would never play that one again because I just did not like it. Now this next one that I have is a Spider-Man game, and this is Spider-Man, and I'm not going to be able to read everything that's on the back, but it's basically Spider-Man Return of something. So I would need to zoom in and look at it in order to see. But yeah, I cannot see it from the light right here. But yeah, just another Spider-Man game. I don't believe I ever played that one. Now there's more Spider-Man games that I have played, or there's another Spider-Man game for the Game Gear that I have played. The next one is WWF Raw. So WWF Raw, this one is obviously, again, before they changed it to WWE. It says that I paid right around $4 for this one. So I'm not sure if that one has went up in value or not either. I was kind of collecting a lot of these at one point and then just kind of got back out of it. And obviously now, today, I haven't been involved in it in, I don't know, maybe 8 months or so. But still something that I probably will be buying more of these for, especially if I saw them cheap. So the next game that I have is called Super Space Invaders. And I do believe Super Space Invaders is worth a little bit more than most of these Game Gear games. Like a lot of these is like worth a couple of bucks. I think this one starts about $10, something right around that. And yeah, a lot of these games don't really have much value in them. Now, this game, I do recall, had some value in it, and this was Terminator 2. So this was a great version of Terminator to play. I absolutely loved this version. It was just T2, the arcade game, I believe. Yes, the arcade game is what it says on the label there. And yeah, it's that game where, basically you're just mowing down, enemy after enemy after enemy. The next title is called Tasmania. So for Tasmania, I have played this one before. I only played maybe the first level or two. I feel like I wanted to think that this one was pretty hard, so I just didn't, I don't know, maybe I just didn't invest into it. But obviously a lot of these you could come back to as an adult and you would absolutely dominate, if you've been gaming for all those years. The other game that I have is called X-Men. So X-Men, this is just part of that, franchise, and I think they made even more of those than that. Yeah, so they made another one here. So this is a totally different version. This is X-Men Game Masters Legacy. So that's just another one of those types of games. This copy right here of Devilish, especially this variant of it, this one is about worth $30. So far, out of all of the games that I have, that I've shared here with you, this one is absolutely worth the most at the moment. Now, another game that I have that's probably up there in that value, that's close to it, is this one right here, which is Shinobi. I believe that Shinobi is worth around that $25 mark. This is Shinobi 2, just to be super clear. So Shinobi 2 is this one. And I do believe this one has a little bit more value to it. Another title that I have that has some value is this one right here, which is Streets of Rage. And I basically bought this one in like an eBay lot. Somebody had it, and it had like a broken Game Gear. Nobody was bidding on it, and I made the bid. I got the Game Gear, and then I got, this game for something like $20. And I do believe that this game by itself was worth $20. I know for the most part what I do is I'll buy those off of eBay, and then I'll just sell the Game Gear if I don't want to try to repair it myself. And then the last game in the lot here, which maybe wasn't a great one to end on, but that is going to be a game titled Pack Attack. So Pack Attack is what we are ending on here. I do have 2 working Game Gears right now that one of them has been recapped, the other one hasn't. I don't have any mods as far as like the LCD mod or anything like that. And I also own the game Genie. So that obviously was used for cheating and all of that kind of fun stuff. And you can download the codes now online to use with some of your physical games, and it also works with the flash cart too. Okay, so that is my entire Game Gear collection. Let me know down in the comments which title have you seen from this list that you absolutely love. Maybe it was a childhood game, or maybe it's just a brand new game that you just started checking out. And also, what have I missed? What games should I add to my physical Game Gear collection? Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.